Abhay Shukla is standing in front of you. Today, as per the syllabus that we are going to assess in your pre-mid examination, I am here with the chapter The Tiger King. As we know that this chapter, The Tiger King, is from your Vistas book, chapter number 2. So, without wasting a moment, let's talk about the chapter Tiger King. So the story is all about a boy who was born in a kingdom, and there at the time of his birth some astrologers they gave a prophecy. They predicted that this particular boy will meet his death very soon, and the cause of his death will be a tiger. So let's find out, let's read out the chapter and find out whether the boy was killed by a tiger or not. Okay. So the Maharaja Pratibandhupuram is the hero of this story. He may be identified as His Highness Zamidar General Khaledar Major Satya Vyagra Samahari Maharaja Dhiraj Vishwa Bhuvana Samrat Sir Jilani Jang Bahadur MAD ACTC or CRCK. So this is the full name of the Tiger King. As a good student, you should learn this big name, and if you find an opportunity to write down the name, you are just advised to write down the full name, but if you are damn sure, only then. Okay? So, in short, this name is often shortened as Tiger King. I have come forward to tell you why he came to be known as Tiger King. Now the writer is saying that he is going to tell us the reason why that particular boy became famous as a Tiger King. I have no intention of pretending to advance, only to end in a strategic withdrawal. Even the threat of a Stuka bomber will not throw me off track. The Stuka, if it likes, can beat a hasty retreat from my story. So now what the writer is saying, that I don't want to highlight the matter. I don't want to highlight the matter, and I don't want to decrease the matter. Whatever I am just doing, it is just a plan so that I can represent the things very properly in front of you. Right at the start, it is imperative to disclose a matter of vital importance about the Tiger King. So now the story is going to begin in an epic style. What is the quality of epic? Epic generally begins from the middle. Like Bahubali you have seen. Part 2 comes first and part 1 comes later with the conclusion. Okay? So right at the start it is imperative to disclose a matter of vital importance about Tiger King. It's not a very good thing. It will not be in favor that if I disclose the matter in the beginning, why the Tiger King is famous as Tiger King. Okay? Everyone who reads of him will experience the natural desire to meet a man of his indomitable courage face to face. So whosoever the person is who is going to read about Tiger King, there should be a desire, a natural desire in him or her, so that he could meet such indomitable personality. But there is no change of its fulfillment. But now it's not possible. Now the writer is disclosing the fact it is not possible. And why it is not possible? Because Tiger King is no more. As Bharat said to Rama about Dasratha. What Bharat told about Rama about Dasratha? That Dasratha is no more. King Dasratha is no more. And same is the case with the Tiger King. The Tiger King has reached that final abode of all living creature. The final abode, that is actually for all living creature, that is heaven. He is there. In other words, the Tiger King is dead. In short, we can say that Tiger King is dead. The manner of his death is a matter of extraordinary interest. It can be revealed only at the end of the tale. So the manner in which Tiger King met his death, it was a matter of great importance. and only at the end of the chapter you will be able to know the reason. The most fantastic aspect of his demise was that as soon as he was born, astrologer has foretold that one day the Tiger King would actually have to die. So what was the special thing? At the time of his birth, all the astrologers predicted that one day the Tiger King will have to die. They exclaimed, they also predicted that the child will grow up to become the warrior of the warriors, hero of the heroes, champion of the champions. So he will be, beyond expectation in all the fields. Okay, but they bit their lips and swallowed hard. But they became hesitate when they are going to announce the matter, this secret matter. Okay, when the compelled to continue, the astrologers came out with it. When the people who were there in the family of Tiger King, when they came and they forced the astrologers, they informed that this is a secret which should not be revealed at all. Though it is a secret, it should not be revealed at any cost. Okay, yet we are forced to speak out. But as you are forcing me to explain the reason, the child born under this star will one day have to meet his death. Whosoever is born under this nakshatra, in Hindi, nakshatra, okay, under this nakshatra, whosoever took birth, he or she will have to die one day. So at that very moment, a great miracle took place. What happened at that particular moment? A very important thing took place. And what was the thing? That astrologer's phrase emerged from the lips. An astonishing phrase emerged from the lips of the 10-day-old Jilani Jung Bahadur. Oh wise prophets, only 10 days old, that boy, he speak out. Oh wise prophet, oh learned people. What the special you are talking about? Each and every candidate who have taken birth will definitely have to die. And same goes with me. I will also die one day. Everyone stood transfixed, but actually he was only 10 days old and he was speaking. So that's why whosoever was present there, he was totally transfixed, totally shocked. Okay, in stupefaction, they looked widely at each other, blinked. They looked widely at each other and blinked. Oh wise prophet, it was I who spoke. Once again he emphasized the fact, it was I, Jilani Jung Bahadur, who speak out. This time there was no grounds for doubt, and now when once again he proved he speak out, so there was no doubt at all that it was he who speak out. Okay, so it was the infant born just 10 days ago who had enunciated the word so clearly. The 10 days old boy, he was speaking, and he was speaking very clearly. There is no doubt in it. The astrologers took off his spectacles and gazed intently at the baby. So he became very shocked. He took out his spectacle and looked at that boy intentionally. Okay? All those who are born will one day have to die. Now he exclaimed that everybody who had taken birth will have to die one day. There is no special, we don't need your predictions to know that. There would be some sense in it if you could tell us the manner of that death. If you can tell us how I am going to meet my end, if you are able to tell me, then I can know, then I will consider that you are good. You know something. You are not saying anything special by telling me that you will die one day. So the royal infant uttered these words in his little squeaky voice. Squeaky means a very harsh little voice, thin sound. Okay. So the chief astrologer placed his fingers on his nose in wonder. Now he became shocked. He placed his finger on his nose, and a baby barely 10 days old opens its lips, lips in speech. Not only that, it also raises intelligent questions. Incredible. All these things are very, unbelievable. Rather like the bulletins issued by the war officers than facts. So the chief astrologer took his fingers off his nose and fixed his eyes upon the little prince. The prince was born in the hour of the bull. The bull and the tiger are enemies, therefore the death comes from the tiger, he explained. What the astrologer said, that as you have taken birth in the hour of bull, and bull and tiger are enemies, so that's why the reason of your death will definitely be a tiger. You may think that Crown Prince Jung Bahadur was thrown into a quack when he heard the word tiger. So what do you think, that he became afraid after listening the word tiger? No, it was not so. It was not so. That was exactly what didn't happen. As soon as he heard it pronounced, the Crown Prince gave a deep growl. Terrifying words emerged from his lips. So just as he heard the word tiger, he exclaimed once again. And what he exclaimed, let's tiger beware. Okay, all the tigers, now be very careful against me. Okay? This account is only a rumor rife in the Pratibandhapuram, but with the hint side we may conclude it was based on some truth. So it was just like a rumor over there that was spread in Pratibandhapuram, but the later incident, after looking at later incident, we came to know that it was definitely based on some truth. So this is part 1. Now part 2. Crown Prince Jung Bahadur grew taller and stronger day by day. No other miracle marked his childhood 10 days apart from the event already described. So there was nothing special in his childhood apart from the incident that was described earlier, that when he was 10 days old he speak out. Okay, so the boy drank the milk of the English cow, was brought up by an English nanny, tutored in English by an Englishman, saw nothing but English films exactly as the crown princes of all the other Indian states did. So there is nothing special in his bringing up. In the same way other princes are brought up, in the same way he get all the things. So when he came of the age of 20, the state which had been with the court of wards until then came into in his hand. So when he was a child, so his kingdom was in the hands of some other persons, to those who were looking after the kingdom. So now he became the king of his own kingdom. But everyone in the kingdom remembered the astrologer's prediction. Many continued to discuss the matter. And when he became the king of his kingdom, so now the people started to talk about that particular event that was spoken out by the astrologers. Slowly it came to the Maharaja's ears, and soon it came to the Maharaja's ear that the people are talking about something that was spoken by the astrologers. So there were innumerable forests in the Pratibandhapuram state. Infinite forests were there in his estate. They had tigers in them. The Maharaja knew the old saying, you may kill even a cow in self-defense. Maharaja knows very well, even then there is a very, cow here stands for a very strong enemy. Even if it is very strong, even a very strong enemy is in front of you, but whenever there is a question of survival, you will use all your power and you will be able to kill that. Okay, so there could certainly be no objection of killing tigers in self-defense. The Maharaja started out on a tiger hunt. Now the tiger hunt is started. The Maharaja was thrilled beyond measures when he killed his first tiger. So when he shot down the first tiger, he became very happy and happy beyond imagination. He sent for the state astrologer and showed him the dead beast. So he called that astrologer and he showed him that dead beast. What do you say now? He demanded and asked him, you were saying that the tiger will be the reason of my death. Just see, I have killed the tiger. Your Majesty may kill 99 tigers in exactly the same manner, but the astrologer drawled. Now the astrologer once again, he remained on his statement and said, you may kill 99 tigers in the same manner, but you must be very careful with the 100 tiger. You must be very careful with the 100 tiger. What if the 100 tiger were also killed? Now the tiger king put a question. What if I kill the 100 tiger also? So what the astrologer replied, he said that then I will tear up my books on astrology, set fire to them, and so I will just burn out all my things. Okay, he said, related to the astrology, and on asking, I shall cut off my tuft, crop my hair short, and became an insurance agent. So I will just cut out my tuft. Tuft means choti. Okay. So I will cut out my tuft, the cluster of the hair on the head. Okay. So and became an insurance agent. The astrologer finished on an incoherent note. So he just finished his statement by speaking out an irrelevant thing. Okay, so now the next paragraph moves. From that day onwards, it was a celebration time for the all tigers inhabiting Pratibandhapuram. So those who were living over there in the state of Pratibandhapuram, it was a celebration. The state banned tiger hunting for anyone except the Maharaja. And why it was a celebration time for the tigers? As the state has banned tiger killing, tiger poaching. Okay, and only one in authority, that is Maharaja, he can kill any tiger. So if and a proclamation notice was also issued to the effect that if anyone dared to fling so much as a stone at a tiger, all his wealth and property would be confiscated. So if anybody tried to do it, definitely all his property will be taken out from him. So this was the fear in the mind of the people, and that's why they just drag themselves away from killing a tiger. The Maharaja vowed he would attend to all other matters only after killing the 100 tigers. So now Maharaja also talk about that until I will not be able to kill out all the tigers, I will not do anything. Initially the king seemed well set to realize his ambition. The king has realized his ambition, not that he had faced no danger. It doesn't mean that in killing tiger he didn't face any danger. There were times when the bullet missed its mark, the tiger leaped upon him. So many cases were there. Sometimes the bullet missed and sometimes tiger leaped upon him and he fought the beast with his bare hands. And each time it was the Maharaja who won. At another time he was in danger of losing his throne. So there was also one more time when he was in losing his throne. A high-ranking British officers visited Pratibandhapuram. As it was, India was in the custody of Britishers earlier. So a very high-ranking British officers came over there. He was very fond of hunting tigers and fonder of being photographed with the tigers he had shot. So he was very much interested in tiger poaching and he wanted a photograph with the dead tiger. Okay, so as usual he wished to hunt tigers in Pratibandhapuram. So when he came to Pratibandhapuram, he also argued for the same. But the Maharaja was firm in his resolve. But Maharaja was determined. He refused permission, I can organize any other hunt. But he refused him that I will not permit you to for tiger hunting. I can arrange any other thing, but I cannot permit you for tiger hunting. Okay, you may go on a boar hunt, you may conduct a mouse hunt. We are ready for a mosquito hunt, but tiger hunt, that is impossible. This is a you can say humor. We can organize mouse hunt. Okay, mouse hunt means why somebody will go for mouse hunt and beyond mosquito hunt. So mosquito hunt and your mouse hunt. So this is just a humor and nothing. Okay. So the British officer secretly sent word to the Maharaja through the Diwan that the Durai himself didn't have to kill the tiger. Now they gave him an offer that I will not kill. I am only interested in taking in getting a photograph with the dead tiger. You go and kill the tiger. I will come and I will get a photograph with that dead tiger. But the Maharaja couldn't do the actual killing. What was important to write was a photograph of himself holding the gun and standing over the tiger's carcass. But the Maharaja would not agree even to this proposal. If he relented now, what would he do if other British officers turned up for tiger hunts? So if he allowed him, then definitely others will come and they will ask for tiger hunting. Because he prevented a British officer from fulfilling his desire, the Maharaja stood in danger of losing his kingdom itself. So as Britishers were very powerful at that time, there was a danger of losing his kingdom too. Maharaja and the Diwan held deliberation over this issue. As a result, a telegram was dispatched forthwith to a famous British company of jewelers in Calcutta. Maharaja sent a telegram to the very famous jeweler company in Calcutta, sent sample of expensive diamond rings of different designs, and he asked for the different designs of diamond rings to that jeweler. Some 50 rings arrived. Maharaja sent the whole of lot of the British officers, good lady. The king and his minister expected that Durai Sani to choose 1 or 2 rings and send the rest back. Within no time, at all the Durai Sani sent her reply, "Thank you very much for gift." So it was expected by the king that Durai Sani will take 1 ring from that 50 rings, but he had kept all the rings and sent a word of thanks to the Maharaja. This was a big loss for the Maharaja also. In old days, in 2 days, a bill of 3 lakhs of rupees came from the British jewelers. So a bill of near about 3 lakh rupees came from the British jewelers. The Maharaja was happy that though he had lost 3 lakh of rupees, he had managed to retain his kingdom. Okay, but it's true that I am in loss of 3 lakh rupees, but at least I am able to retain my kingdom. So now fourth, the Maharaja's tiger hunt continued to be a highly successful. Within 10 years, he was able to kill 70 tigers. So he had killed 70 tigers in 10 years, and then an unforeseen hurdle brought his mission to a standstill. The tiger population became extinct in the forest of Pattanamthitta. Who knows whether the tigers practice birth control or commit harakiri. Once again over here, there is a humor. This humor is here. How can tiger know about birth control? But it is written over here. Okay, so simply ran away from the state because they desired to be shot by the British hands alone. Bande the Maharaja sent for the Diwan. Diwan Sahib, are not you aware of the fact that 30 tigers still remain to be shot down by this gun of mine? He called his minister and he asked him that, see, still 30 tigers are remained to kill by me. He asked, brandishing his gun. Shuddering at the sight of the gun, the Diwan cried out. When the Diwans looked at the gun, he became afraid and he said, "Your Majesty, I am not a tiger. I am not a tiger. Which idiot would call you tiger?" So now the tiger king replied, "Who will call you a tiger? You idiot. No, I am not a gun." So once again he said, "I am also not a gun." The Diwan began to babble. "You are neither a tiger nor a gun, Diwan Sahib. I summon you here for a different purpose. I have decided to get married. So why I called you? You are neither a gun nor a tiger. But why I called you? I called you for a different person, and the purpose is I want to get married." The Diwan began to babble even more. "Your Majesty, I have 2 wives already. If I marry you." Once again a humor over here. A male is saying to other male that, "Your Majesty, I have 2 wives." It means he was thinking that Maharaja wanted to marry him. Okay, so don't talk nonsense. Why should I marry you? What I want is a tiger. So now he said that I want a tiger. What he thought now, "Your Majesty, please think it over. Your ancestors were married to the sword. Your ancestors, your forefathers has married to the sword. If you like, marry the gun. Now sword is no more. You can marry to a gun. A tiger king is more than enough for this state. It doesn't need a tiger queen as well. A tiger king is more than enough. We don't need any tiger queen right now. Okay, if you will marry with a tiger, it means she will be a tiger queen." So once again a humor over here. The Maharaja gave a loud crack of laughter and not stopped thinking of marrying either a gun or a tiger, but a girl from the rank of human beings. First, you may draw up statistics of the tiger population in the different native states. Next, you should investigate, is there a girl I can marry in the royal family of the state with a large tiger population. So he instructed 2 things. First, to find out the highest neighboring country where there is a highest number of tigers, and secondly, is there a princess with whom he can marry. So the Diwan followed his order. He found the right girl from the state which possessed a large number of tigers. Got my point? So Maharaja Jang Bahadur killed 5 or 6 tigers each time he visited his father-in-law. So every time whenever he went to his father-in-law house, he went over there and he killed 50 to 60 tigers over there. In this manner, 99 tigers' skins adorn the walls of the reception hall in the Pattanamthitta palace. So now 99 tigers have been killed, only 1 tiger is remained to kill. The Maharaja's anxiety reached its fever pitch when there remained just one tiger to achieve his tally of 100. So when there is one tiger left, okay, so he had this one thought during the day and the same dream at night. So he was thinking of the same thing in day and day night. But this time the tiger forms had run dry even in the father-in-law kingdom. It became impossible to locate tigers anywhere. Now even in his father-in-law kingdom there was no tiger. Yet only one was needed. If he could kill just one single beast, the Maharaja could have no fear left. He could give up tiger hunting altogether. Okay. So on the following day, the very same tiger wandered into the Maharaja's presence. Maharaja took careful aim. So this is just interruption of the pages in your NCERT. This is the last paragraph, but I am going to explain it. Okay. So on the following day, the very same tiger wandered into the Maharaja's presence. So thus the Maharaja was shrunk in the gloom, but soon came the happy news which dispelled that gloom. Maharaja was in deep distress as there was no tiger, but soon he get a news which make him happy. In his own state, sleep began to disappear frequently from a hillside village. He came to know that in his own state, in his own kingdom, sheep are disappearing very rapidly. So it was first as certain that this was the work of the Qadir Mian Sahab or the Veera Swami Naikar, both from their ability to swallow sheep whole. So these were two characters who can swallow the sheep whole. Surely a tiger was at work. When they denied that they are not doing so definitely that there was a tiger who is working all these things. The villagers ran to inform the Maharaja. Maharaja announced a 3 years exemption from all taxes. Maharaja became so happy that he announced 3 years exemption from the taxes, all taxes of that village, and set out on a hunt at once. And immediately he went on hunt. The tiger was not easily found. It seemed that it had went only hide himself in order to float Maharaja's way. Maharaja was equally determined. He refused to leave the forest until the tiger was found. He decided that I will not leave until I found the tiger. As the day passed, the Maharaja's fray and obstinacy mounted alarmingly. Many officers lost their jobs. So as he was not getting the tiger, so that's why he became very upset. And this mindset causes a lot of loss of jobs in his kingdom. One day when the race was at its height, the Maharaja called the Diwan and ordered him to double the land taxes forthwith. When he was very upset one day, he called his Diwan and instructed him to double the land taxes. The people will become discontented, then our state too will fall a prey to the Indian National Congress. Diwan suggested him that if we will do so, then definitely the people will be discontented, they will be dissatisfied. Okay, and this will cause Indian National Congress rule in our kingdom too. The Diwan went home convinced that if the Maharaja didn't find the tiger soon, the result would be catastrophic. Now Diwan was aware about the fact that if he will not be able to find out the tiger very soon, then definitely the result will be very dangerous. He felt life returning to him only when he saw the tiger which had been brought from the People's Park in Madras, kept hidden in his house. So now he get in the last optimistic look when he came to know about the tiger which has been brought from the park in Madras, and it was kept in his own house. At midnight, when the town slept in peace, the Diwan and his aged wife dragged the tiger to the car and showed it into the sea. So they both, the husband and wife, they dragged the tiger outside of their house, and they tried to push him into the car. The Diwan himself drove the car straight to the forest where the Maharaja was hunting. When they reached the forest, the tiger launched its satyagraha and refused to get out of the car. So tiger denied that he will not come out of the car. The Diwan was thoroughly exhausted in his effort to haul the beast out of the car. He used all his power to drag him out of the car, but it pushed it down to the ground. Okay. So on the following day, the same old tiger wandered into the Maharaja's presence and stood as if humble supplication. So next day, the same tiger was in front of the tiger king. Master, what do you command of me? As if he was asking, what is your command for me? So So it was boundless joy for the Maharaja. He took careful aim at that beast and tiger fell in the crumpled heap. I have killed 100 tiger. My vow has been fulfilled. The Maharaja was overcome with elation. Ordering the tiger to be brought to the capital in grand procession, the Maharaja hastened away in his car. So when he became sure that he has killed 100 tiger, he announced to his followers that you just take this tiger in a grand procession. Now my vow has been completed. After the Maharaja left, the hunters went to take a closer look at the tiger. So when Maharaja went away from there, the hunters once again went to the tiger. The tiger looked back at them, rolling its eyes, and tiger was not killed actually. He was looking at all those people in a bafflement. The men realized that the tiger was not dead. The bullet had missed it. It had fainted from the shock of bullet whistling past. Now they came to know that the tiger was only fainted. He was not killed by the Maharaja. The hunters wondered what they should do. They decided that the Maharaja must not come to know that he had missed his target. And they decided it will inform the Tiger King that you have missed your shot, then definitely he will become more angry and it can cause a life punishment for them also. So that's why they decided not to inform Maharaja about it. And one of the hunters who came from a distance of 1 foot and shot the tiger. So what did one of the hunters? He shot the tiger. This time he killed it without missing the mark. So then, as commanded by the Tiger King, the dead tiger was taken in possession, thrown through the town and buried. A tomb was erected over it. A few days later, the Maharaja's son's third birthday was celebrated. Until then, the Maharaja had given his entire mind over the tiger hunting. Now, the Maharaja was totally carefree, so he just keep his mind away from the tiger hunting. He had no time to spare for his crown prince, as his son was growing older and he had not spent even a single minute with him. So that's why he was interested in his boy. But now the king turned his attention to the child. He wished to give him some special gift on his birthday. He went to the shopping center in Prativantapuram and searched every shop but couldn't find anything suitable. Finally, he spotted a wooden tiger in toy shop and decided it was the perfect gift. So he found a wooden tiger from a toy shop and thought that it can be a better gift for his boy. The wooden tiger was cost only 2 annas and a quarter, so very less cost. But the shopkeeper knew that if he quoted such a low price to the Maharaja, he would be punished under the rule of emergency. So he said, Your Majesty, this is an extremely rare of example of the craftsmanship, a bargain at 300 rupees. So he announced that the real cost of this tiger is 300 rupees, while it was very less quality. So very good, let this be your offering to the crown prince, he said on his birthday. Said the king and took it away with him. So he was the king of that estate. So he said, okay, that's very good. This is going to be the gift to the crown prince from your side. Means he didn't pay for that tiger. So on that day, father and son played with a tiny wooden tiger. It had carved by an unskilled carpenter. Its surface was rough, stood up like quills all over it. One of those slivers passed the Maharaja's right hand. He pulled it out with his left hand and continued to play with the prince. So one slivers, very tiny slivers, it quills into the Maharaja's hand. Though he take it out from his other hand, but there was a wound in his hand. The next day, infection flared in Maharaja's right hand. In 4 days, developed into a suffocating sore which spread all over the arm. So the infection increased. And it increased to his full hand. 3 famous surgeons were brought in from Madras. After holding a consultation, they decided to operate. The operation took place. So they decided that now there can be only one thing, that it should be operated. And they did an operation of the Maharaja. The 3 surgeons who performed it came out to the theatre and announced the operation was successful. The Maharaja is dead. So they came out of the operation theatre and they announced that operation was successful. So this is also a humor actually. You have seen this is the full explanation of the entire chapter. Go through once again over it, and if you face any query, you can ask me in the school group. Okay, thank you very much. Keep watching and stay home, stay safe.